go through the abilities here.
I go fast. Start off one more time.
Oh my gosh! This is so good. Gosh,
Yeah.
we just need the anime tagline. Oh, it's like the finishing
some
move
really fun
that you
stuff.
know. The fight is over whenever he cranks that ultimate ability. That's super cool. All right, let's go ahead and get right into the abilities because that was a lot. But we have got the ninja info cards to break down the abilities. Let's start off with the passive. Shingetsu and Mangetsu. Pon, what's going on with the passive?
Yep, so his blades aren't just there for show. They actually are named and kind of represent different powers of the moon. Shingetsu is on the left, Mangetsu is on the right. And you'll see that when I actually hit with them, see how they're kind of glowing now? This means that they're empowered. Shingetsu kind of represents the chaos and uncertainty of night. And so when this weapon is augmented and glowing, it actually cleaves. So you'll be able to see here I do some extra damage. And it also restores some mana. When Mangetsu is empowered, it represents kind of like the illuminating nature of light, the kind of like piercing nature of light. And so it actually does bonus damage as well as restore some health. So you want to kind of get in there, activate your weapons, and then if you get to stay in combat and keep hitting, you get further rewarded for that.
Just want to confirm with you, Pon. Tsukuyomi is definitely going to be... He's an assassin, right?
Yes, he is an assassin. I should have mentioned that earlier. He is definitely an assassin. You'll find good success with him in the jungle, and maybe in the soul lane.
For sure.
Oh,
and
you'll
the thing
definitely
about
find some success in
assassins
the jungle.
and ninjas have a whole arsenal of tools that they use. So let's talk about the shuriken. And ability 1 is the Dark Moon Shuriken. What's going on with ability 1?
So ability 1 is Dark Moon Shuriken. He actually uses Shingetsu to kind of conjure it forward. It glows, and from the smoke of the weapon comes out the shuriken. You can see that you'll throw it out. And so you can see the kind of shape of it. But when you hit a target, it sticks to them, and if you walk near them, you retrieve it. So you actually throw your shuriken, get in melee range of someone, pick it back up, and throw it again. The cooldown gets reduced by 40%. You'll also notice that each time I fire this ability, I have this new extra targeter. This is the single-use ranged attack. Your 1 and your 3 both do this. So after you use your 1, use it whether you hit or not, you get this extra ranged attack from the weapon. And this one, since it's Shingetsu's, will actually steal movement speed from your target. So when you hit someone with it, you can see that Odin's going slower, and I'm actually moving faster now.
Nice.
That's super cool. So just to confirm, you throw the shuriken, and then his next basic attack is kind of empowered and is ranged, right?
Correct.
Nice. All right, let's move on to the second ability and his second ninja tool, the Kusarigama. What's going on with this one?
Yeah, so for those who aren't familiar with the weapon, it's a kind of disarming weapon, which you'll see what it does. He actually turns his blades into the Kusarigama and swings it around him. You'll note that it has a left, right, and center targeter. Hits the left, the right, and then the center. If you hit with the left and right, it'll actually disarm the target that you hit. And if you hit with the center final hit, it will do more damage and stun the target. So you can really use this to kind of get around, disarm the enemy hunter, and then stun the priority target if you need to. Also, if you're in the middle of like a team fight, you can hit people and kind of use this as a defensive tool so that they can't hit you back.
Super cool. I'm loving the targeter shapes in here. So hit on the both sides. Is it only a disarm on the left side?
Disarm on the left, right, and then center is stun.
Awesome. All right, let's go on to ability number 3, Silver Moon Caltrops. What's going on with this one? New targeter shape, first of all.
So yeah, we have a crescent shape. It's really neat. So in this one, the theming is, again, kind of like calling upon like the nature of like night and like what kind of lights up the sky. So he holds Mangetsu Loft, and it kind of explodes into a shower of stars that fall to the ground as caltrops. You can see here that when enemies walk into it, if they step over it, they actually are slowed and take some damage. So this happens on deploy, as well as when they walk through it. And then just like my first ability, I get this extra ranged single target attack. This ranged attack will actually deal bonus true damage. I had to sneak true damage in there somewhere. So it actually does 5 plus like 40% physical power scaling as true damage. So you can use this to damage some tanks or just get some extra damage on squishy targets.
Nice.
And what's important to note here is if I make the enemy god stop moving, if I cast this ability, they don't take damage if they don't move. They only take damage if you move on this. So if you get trapped in this and you realize you're not in danger, it might be best not to continue stepping your feet onto the caltrops. Just a little unique touch to this ability.
That's super cool and thematic. All right, I think it's time for the big one, the ultimate ability, Piercing Moonlight. Pawn, can you please just fire it one more time and talk to me about what it does?
Yep. So you can see here that when I ult, I kind of like become this being of pure moonlight, and I fire these 4 projectiles, like basically giant laser beams that travel super fast. For every single target that I hit, they become marked, and I will dash through them in the sequence that I hit them. So you'll see here if I hit these 3 Odins over here and then cast to the left, I dash through all these first, and then I go to the other targets. I can hit them in any order, and I can have up to 12 targets that I can dash through. So you can see on these Odins over here where they're all kind of in a nice line, I only actually hit 3 of them. Stopped at 3, but I get to dash through them for 12 unique strikes. It's also important to note that you end the ultimate where your last